Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Blue Marble. We are, at the moment, myself, Farmer's Boy, and Judy Bassett. And I see a bunch of good folks out there in the chat. Bendy Light, my mom bakes cakes, Crumpy Old Grunt, Barry on, Sean, uh, Carrie Boy, Anamorphic. Yeah, I don't think I missed anybody. So, you guys hearing us okay out there? Hopefully the audio's working. I'm sure they'll let us know if it isn't.
Yep.
Says it's working. OBS says it is. As much as you can trust that thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Oh, there we go. 5 by
5.
5.
All righty.
That's good.
Sounds good on this end. 3 Ron. Donner, we got another new one. We get new folks all the time. This is great.
Yeah.
Make them blue. There we go. So, what have you guys been up to? Oh, Hawkins showed up. There goes the
Hello.
neighborhood.
Oh, well, there we go.
No, I'll be chill.
Oh, dear.
What funny shit have you heard these lately, farmers? I know there's been some ridiculous
Well,
crap going on
I
over
mean, it's been the same old nonsense over in Gems. I'm still getting over what we heard from Mr. Leakey yesterday over in Jose's. That was quite something.
really was.
Bless him. Yeah, that was he really went off on one on Stingray, and I'm sure you're the same. None of us can figure out why, because Stingray did exactly what he wanted him to do. Problem is, I don't think Brian quite knew what he wanted.
I don't know what his point is. I really can't understand it. East
No,
is east. Period. It's perpendicular to north and south.
that's it.
What,
But
what was
it's just a direction, isn't it?
Yeah.
what was he saying?
I think if I think I might have understood some of it. That the east is a a circle around the Earth or a curve around the Earth. I think that's sort of what he was getting at, which of course it isn't, because he asked Stingray to do 2 lines of sight. Now you and I and the bedpost knows that a line of sight is just you're just looking straight out.
Right.
Yeah.
And if at night you could be looking at the star, you could be looking at the moon, what have you, your line of sight doesn't follow the curvature of the Earth, and that's exactly what Stingray showed. 2 parallel lines of sight, 45 degrees apart on the Earth, and no, that isn't what Brian wanted. And is at that point that we all thought, well, what do you bloody want then?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he gets confused.
Well,
Yes.
he gets ideas in his head, and he thinks his ideas are valid, and because no one challenges him anywhere else, and then he comes out in public and he finds out they aren't, and it makes him angry.
Yes, and he kept
Well,
telling us we didn't know spherical geometry, and it's like, just the projection is off the charts.
Yeah.
well, I don't care where you are on the earth, other than standing right on the pole.
Yeah.
True north is a line is running along a line of longitude that will form a great circle. It will
Yes.
go all the way around the earth and come back and hit you in the backside. That's exactly what it is. But lines of latitude are not great circles, except for the equator. That's the only one that is.
Yeah.
The rest of them, I guess, technically are rhumb lines if you thought about it. A rhumb line is a line that crosses every latitude at the same angle. But
Yeah, that'd make them rhumb lines in, wouldn't it?
yeah, I think by definition that would be a rhumb line. But the point, the simple point is, uh, latitudes are circles that lie in planes that are parallel to the plane of the equator. That's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah.
And no, you cannot extend that perpendicular from a longitude, a latitude, a perpendicular from a longitude line anywhere on except on the equator, and not have it corkscrew around the Earth. That's what it will do. It has to. That's what Brian can't get straight. It's sort of amazing. But he's been on about this for a long time now.
Yes. Yesterday wasn't the first time, was it?
Oh no,
Not by a long shot.
Yeah, we've heard this many times.
Yeah. It's the flat Earth reset.
Yeah.
Well, this time it's not a reset because Brian has never been able to get it. He's never been able to comprehend it.
Oh.
And he was arguing about, these videos showing 24 hours a day light at the South Pole and all the rest of it, and he'd got a live cam of the Australian base, is it the Darwin base, which is nowhere near the South Pole. It's on the Antarctic, but it's nowhere near the South Pole.
Davis, I think.
The Davis base or something, but it's the Australian one, and it happens to be on the Australian side of the continent. Strangely enough, it's nowhere near the South Pole.
Yeah, imagine that.
Isn't that funny?
It's only about 140 miles inside the Antarctic Circle.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have that many days of all daylight or all dark each year. But there's a month's worth of it.
Yeah. And it did just so happen that yesterday, when you look on, I think it was Time and Date or Sun and Moon, whichever app it was, but when you look, technically, it didn't get any daylight yesterday.
Right, the sun never rose.
It's like me here in the UK. At the moment, we don't get any what they officially term as night. It doesn't get dark enough to call it night.
Yeah, it just stays twilight all night.
Yeah, we get the whatever they call it. What's the darkest of the twilights? We get that all night because you'll hear Mr. Evans cursing about that when he wants to go out and take photos and it's not dark enough.
Dusk.
Yeah, I can't remember which of the twilights they call it, but that is as dark as it gets. I mean, yeah, tonight won't actually get dark enough to call it nighttime. And I'm not exactly near either of the poles.
The golden hour is one of the stages of twilight or nighttime.
Mm.
Yeah, you're 50-something north, are you, farmers?
52, I think, from memory. I think we're 52 degrees north.
Oh, shout out
on about the same as Newfoundland and places like that.
That's pretty far north.
It is. Thank God for that current running up the Atlantic.
Shout out to Bjorn Kamitz for 100 SEK says BMS. Hey, my soft-spoken favorite advocate of science. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Yes, I am. Quite well, Bjorn. Thank you. I appreciate the super chat too. Yeah.
Alan.
I don't.
Alan.
Really...
Alan.
Hey. Hello, Alan.
Hiya, guys.
Summoned him, and here he is.
Oh, was it like that, was it?
Well, I was just saying, there's a certain someone who curses our lack of technical nighttime over here in the UK when you're outside trying to take your photos and it's not dark enough.
Oh.
Because, of course, at the moment, we're not actually getting any night, are we?
No, we only have astronomical twilight.
That's it, astronomical twilight. I couldn't remember what it was called.
What
Yeah,
do you
because I was
call it?
looking at that yesterday on Jose's stream, trying to explain to Brian. I said, "Do you realise at the moment that I'm not actually going to get any nighttime tonight? You know, technically, it's not. It won't be night. It'll still be twilight."
Yeah. We don't get nighttime again until till the end of July.
Yeah.
We only have light and civil twilight, so the sun does not get below 6 degrees below the horizon.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
The best place for info on it is actually timeanddate.com.
Yeah, I think that's the one I was looking at yesterday.
I think
Because-
that's what I was looking at too.
Yeah.
Because if you go for the sunrise sunset times, it's got that annual graph at the top, hasn't it, showing when the sun's up and when it's dark and all the rest of it, and it's actually got the markings on it for the twilight. And you'll also notice that there are discontinuities in the line for sunrise and sunset, where it goes from normal to daylight savings and back again.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, there's constant argument that there aren't any videos of 24-hour daylight or 24-hour sun in Antarctica. It's just crap.
Mm-hmm.
There's loads of them.
Yeah.
Well, they're all fake.
McMurdo Station is, it too is nowhere near the South Pole.
No.
But you still get 24 hours of sun and 24 hours of dark for a month or two there in the middle of the seasons. How they continue to deny that, I have no idea.
Well, just like they deny everything else, don't they? They'll deny anything that shatters their illusion of a flat Earth. So
it's not like people go down there just to make pictures of the friggin' sun. There's lots of easier places you can go to make a picture of the sun, like in the backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That doesn't take a lot of effort to do that.
For people that say you can't go down there like on vacation, they've got a lodge there where people go to hang out. I mean,
you can take a bloody cruise there.
Yeah.
Well, although I have to say, it probably was easier going to the to the local medieval church in the village and doing a time lapse of the sunrise there than going all the way to Antarctica.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's very true.
But that is a nice way to spend a Sunday morning, especially when you're already awake.
Yeah.
Even if sunrise is at 4:30.
Well, it just is, the funny thing is, if they marked off so much as 1 square foot of Antarctica and said, okay, you can come here, but you cannot, in one place you can't go is that 1 square foot, these guys would still be pitching a fit.
Yeah.
They would still be claiming that they're not allowed to go and freely explore the place.
Yeah.
What you hiding? What you hiding?
Well, it's kind of like some of these like speed demons on the road. If you made the speed limit infinity, there'd be some jackass trying to go 5 miles over it.
I mean,
Yeah.
In theory, you should be able to go anywhere in Antarctica, including the Chinese bases, even though they probably wouldn't like it.
There's no police force down there that I'm aware of.
No.
No.
Nature is the police force.
Well, they've got, and the rules are pretty much the rules are pretty much whatever the rules are set by the country you come from. We would have to obey whatever rules the U.S. has about it.
Yeah.
But you guys in England would have some other set of rules that might differ slightly.
Yeah.
Judy might have another set.
unless we come to one of your stations where I would expect that you would have to abide by American law.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean, we're doing the best we can. Everybody is doing the best they can to protect that place and keep it the way it is.
Yeah. I mean, they complain we can't freely wander wherever we want, anytime we want. Go ahead, just pin a note to your chest before you go, giving your who you are and your address to where to send everything. Go for it. I mean, do they think it's like the beach out there? Down, it's a desolate wasteland of frozen. It's, I mean, you could die just by taking a piss outside.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Sean, I didn't mean to laugh over you, mate. I
Oh
just
no, no
saw
problem.
what I just saw what Barry On wrote. I went to Antarctica, but they wouldn't let me in the women's restroom. That just proves that's where they keep the ice wall. Yeah, sorry, I couldn't cope with that one.
Oh, it's okay. No problem.
Oh, that's interesting. I just found out what the legal situation is in Antarctica. It depends where you come from.
Yeah.
For instance, the UK, the Antarctic Act 1994 extends the laws of every part of the United Kingdom to UK nationals in Antarctica. And it looks like that pretty much is the same for, be the same for the US. I suspect that most of the countries operate that. Yeah. You have to abide by the laws of your country when you're in Antarctica.
Yes.
So it's federal then.
And our rules governing going down there, which is really pretty simple. You just tell them you're going to go, and why you're going, and if you're just going to sightsee, I suppose that's good enough.
Yeah.
But you need to tell them what part you're going to. And I think one thing every country insists on is that you've made arrangements. If you're going to go away from any of the parts that are settled, you've got to make arrangements for your own rescue if it becomes necessary.
Yeah.
That's not too much to ask. Why should the rest of us pay for that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's pretty much what the Antarctic Treaty says, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a huge document. I know that we've read it, I think, on Terry's stream. I think we might have read it with you as well at some point.
Yeah, it's not a terribly
not that many
complicated
pages.
document. Yeah, you can read that thing in a matter of an hour.
Yeah, it's only about a dozen pages, isn't it?
Yeah, cover to cover, and understand every word of it. It's quite simple.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Things have happened over there, and for various reasons, chess games are now banned in any Russian stations.
Really?
Yes. 1959, the Vostok station. There was a fight that broke out between two scientists over a game of chess. One of them got so angry he attacked the other one with an ice axe.
Jesus.
So chess is
Yes.
chess is
So
prohibited.
they said, right, okay, comrades, no more chesky.
No more chess.
Or chess. So chess is banned.
Of all the sports to ban, chess would not be the one I would pick out.
No, but that was after a KGB investigation. They said, yep, okay, no more chess. If you're going to get that silly over it. Yeah.
Yeah, Two Left Thumb said that Chile has. Where did he put that? I gotta find it. He says there's a town in Antarctica. Chile decided to settle as their part. Let's see if he's got any more stuff in here. I wasn't aware of that. Doesn't surprise me though.
No.
Hello, Rob Barton. Yeah, he'll come on. Audio here shortly. You're muted in case you didn't know, Rob. Yeah, now there you go.
Morning all. I'm drinking coffee at the same time, so I'm only just up. I'm only just up. We've got a brand new puppy, so it's life is complicated at the moment.
Yes, I bet.
Just born nearly 3 weeks ago, so yeah, she's a lovely little wet border terrier.
Oh, those are wonderful little dogs.
Very English dog, border
Yeah.
terrier.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I hear you talking about Antarctica this morning.
Yeah, I'm not sure how we got off on that. Oh, I guess we got off on that because of some back and forth that went on Jose's show yesterday with Brian Leakey, and
Yes.
the ever-present ongoing argument over whether or not the 24-hour sun videos are legitimate or not, which obviously
Well, that's
they
easy.
are. But
They are.
yeah, it's quite simple. But people like Brian absolutely insist that it has to be 24 hours of uninterrupted, uncut, unbroken video. I guess he knows those are time lapses, so it's nothing but a bunch of broken frames stitched
I wonder
together.
if they'd like to watch it for 24 hours uninterrupted.
I don't know.
Be thrilling
But-
viewing.
They ain't got the stamina for that, I'll tell you. They wouldn't get through 24 hours. I don't think they'd get through an hour.
Now, I don't know if you had a look at the video I posted up yesterday, but the first half of that, it is video. It's just it was video taken at a very slow frame rate. It was taken at 8 seconds per frame rather than 24 frames per second. So when,
Yeah,
you
when
run
you
it, so when you run it back at 24 frames per second, it's like 192 times faster than real life.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're wanting to video something moving at 15 degrees an hour, why take it any faster? You know, you're just filling up a hard drive full of stuff you're never going to use.
Yeah, especially the quality I shoot it at.
Yeah, well, same reason I shot time lapse of the laser for Cavendish. That thing moves so damn slow. If you take a frame every 20 seconds, you've got plenty of video.
Yeah,
More-
and you've
more
only
than
got
you
to
need.
get rid of it. You know, you've only got to get rid of the unused or average the data somehow. And dealing with massive video files is not easy. You know, they're hard to manipulate when you've got truckloads of data. So you just collect what you need.
Yeah, when you got to plot the position of a laser dot with over 600 or 800 or 1,000 frames, that's already a lot of data. Now do it real time, you've got, Jesus, hundreds of thousands of frames.
Yeah, and you'll run into issues where you won't be able to manipulate it. Your computer will crash because, you know, you've just got so much data open.
Yeah.
There's a limit.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I think the video I posted yesterday, the time lapse was about 1,500 frames.
Yeah, that'll run about 3 or 4 minutes maybe.
Well, at 24 frames a second, it's just over a minute.
Oh, okay.
Sample rate's a big thing about taking data. You take it at an appropriate sample rate. You know, it's nothing.
Right.
You know, like, I mean, our ring laser data, we don't take it at, you know, we take it at the rate that gives us, you know, a reasonable Nyquist averaging without losing information. But
Right.
you just simply, you can't take it. You know, our big laser will be what's going to be about 300 hertz. You know, you start taking data at that rate for 6 weeks. You know, it's just, you've got files that are just unmanageable.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what led me to settle on 20 seconds.
Yeah, you work out what gives you what you want.
Yeah. If I do it on the basis of 20 seconds and what I'm looking for is the total period of oscillation of that thing, then I'm going to be within 10 seconds, right?
Yeah.
I've got to be within 10 seconds. And now if I average this out over say 5 complete oscillations, I'm within 2 seconds. Yeah, so works fine.
Yeah, I mean that's like if I'm shooting a time lapse where there are people moving around, then I don't really want to go much slower than 1 frame a second because otherwise they move too quickly.
Yeah,
Even if you play it back fairly slow. But yeah, I mean a sunrise, and especially the one I shot up at the church. I I wanted to shoot the best part of 4 hours, and to get 4 hours worth of frames on the memory card, I shoot at 8 frames a second. Sorry, 8 seconds a frame.
right. But the point to all of that is, uh, they claim cuts in the video. Well, hell, there's every frame is separate.
Yeah,
Those are all cuts.
indeed.
Every one of them.
Yeah.
It's not a continuous, uninterrupted video stream.
Well,
Those
nothing
formations
is
are.
actually.
Right. That's
No,
right.
I mean,
Even the old movies from shot in the 20s, they're at so many frames a second, aren't they? Whatever the frame rate of the old cameras was.
That's right.
Yeah.
They're just stacked stills, really, actually.
That's
You know,
what you're
any
doing.
movie is just a stack of stills.
Yeah. Exactly.
cinema has been traditionally 24 frames a second since almost the beginning.
Persistence of vision
Yeah,
Yes, that's
the
right. It's worked backwards.
that's
phenomenon.
why they hit on the 24 frames a second, because you tend not to see flicker at
Yeah, that's right.
that frame.
Mr. Blue, I don't want to ruin your day, but Racer was saying mean things about you over in Bullbusters.
Say what?
Think it.
Quantum Eraser was saying mean things about you in Bullbusters. I don't want to ruin your day. I know how much you care what he says, but just wanted to tell you.
Well, 24 frames a second is the frequency that Americans run at, but in Europe it's 30 frames a second. So that's why you have the difference in video
Sure.
formats.
TV in the US is 30 frames. It's
Right.
30 frames
30.
because you have 60 hertz mains.
Oh,
Here,
It's
20
25.
it's essentially 25 because we have 50 hertz mains.
Okay, well, it's the other
Yeah.
way around. Yeah, and it works with the brain too. That's the frequency of the brain of the people that live in the different countries. That's why they have the different frame rate.
Yeah, I mean,
Frequency.
Yeah, your frequency.
Oh man, that frequency stuff is impressive. That's amazing.
No, you synchronize.
Sorry, I'm just being silly.
without film.
No, you synchronize the vertical scan rate to the line frequency. That was always the way television worked.
I didn't know that. I learned something new.
It's
Well,
it's actually
it's
like 29.97 and 24.97, just because of the interframe bits.
Okay. Probably
But-
the difference is the time between the end of a scan and the beginning of a scan, maybe,
Yeah,
or it
'cause
has to reset.
You literally have to, although it's done electronically, you still have to essentially bring the CRT spot back up to the starting position.
Yeah, from the
Because you're
bottom left to
changing-
the.
Because you have to move it by changing the magnetic field in a coil. You
Yeah.
can't do it instantaneously.
bottom right to top left.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if Europeans' television was interlay scan or not.
Yeah,
Ours
but-
was.
Both were.
Okay, yeah. So you're actually scanning 60 times a second, but you're scanning every other line.
There's a channel called the Slow Mo Guys. I think that's the name,
Yeah.
and they've actually done like ultra high speed video of CRT scanning, and it's really interesting to watch.
Yeah, you can see the beam move.
Yeah.
Yeah. If for people who might be interested, Matt Parker, the Australian mathematician based in the UK now, has done a couple of very good videos on CRT scanning and the differences between PAL and NTSC. To the point he got an American spec TV and actually had to get himself some 60 hertz electricity to drive it with.
We had when I was in Germany, all the PXs always had televisions that had a switch where you could set it to PAL or whatever format you're in,
Yeah.
and NTSC or PAL.
Yeah, let me say hello to Moyak. I meant to say hi a second ago. And Shaky. How you guys doing?
Hello. What's up?
I don't know. I was browsing through stuff the other day and I ran across a Peter and Pete video. For those of you that don't know who Peter and Pete is, you're better off not.
New clown.
Yeah.
I've known who they are for a while, but I have never watched any of their videos except
Back-
ones that where the clips of them are being featured on somebody else's channel.
Back when right after I did Cavendish, these two did a whole hour and a half video trying to argue about my results and the Cavendish experiment in general. And they seemed fairly insignificant to me anyway, so I just pretty much ignored it. But they brought it up again the other day, and I thought, what the hell? I don't know that I want to spend the time to sit down and do a proper debunk of this, but it might be fun just to watch it here on live stream, or at least watch a part of it. Usually their videos run an hour to an hour and a half or so. So we're not going to watch the whole thing. We're just going to watch a part of it.
I don't
Go
know
for
if you
that.
know this, but hydrogen and oxygen is not what water's made of.
Oh, please don't. I've watched that one.
They're very scientifically accurate.
Moyok, your mic is appalling.
I'm sorry.
Are you moving?
No, I'm on my computer. I'll try and disconnect and reconnect. Sometimes that makes it better.
Hey, at times it's okay.
Yeah. Other times it's like you're wandering around or something.
Yeah, it gets flaky.
Stingray was just here and he left.
He'll pop back.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe just saw Pete and Peter and I thought, nah.
Yeah, that's a possibility. We may see the we in a second when I turn this on, you may see the viewers go to like 0.
Okay, what we got right? We've got 72 at the moment. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to help my position, but what the hell, something to do. So anyway, I've got you guys piped through. I'm live screen sharing over in Discord. And the guys out in YouTube land are watching it, I think. So let's just listen to these guys a little bit and see what they say.
Yeah. Now, somebody gave us a link to. I think it was Phil again, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Phil gave us a
Can't hear
link
them.
to some material. One was
Which is a blessing.
video, and the other one was Good Tim's for All
Yeah.
video, and just said very interesting stuff at the end,
Stingray.
And so we had a look and we thought, well, okay, maybe Life's telling us
Stream and
to
listen.
actually comment.
Can they hear them
on
out in
the
land?
Say what now?
We can't hear them, Blue.
You can't hear them.
Nope. No, we've got no soundtrack.
No.
Well, I don't know why.
Yeah, we can hear them on YouTube.
Fred Bailey knows me too well. He's just said, Farmer's Boy, brew time. No, this is Peter and Pete, not Lemon Bird. Although you do make a valid point. Oh, dear.
I mean, I've got headphones on, so I can listen on the YouTube channel.
Well, let's see.
Won't give any feedback.
Sound may not be
it's
available.
the same old problem. They just said sound is good in YouTube. Yeah, but YouTube can hear them. We can't.
It says sound may not be available. I'll tell you what. Let's go back to chit-chatting for a moment.
Whilst you hit your PC with a hammer.
No, what I'll do is, hang on. Let me go back to this screen. Yeah, let me go pull it up on YouTube and we'll watch it that way. So you guys carry on for a moment. I'll be back.
I'll be back.
Gary's spewing his lies out there in the chat.
Well, of course he is.
Again.
Listen,
Yeah.
that's all he's got.
Wouldn't expect anything less.
So, how does any form of perspective, pseudo or otherwise, create star trails? I mean, just how? It's just like, I'll just spew some words and I'll throw shit at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah. Of course, when you work on a ranch or where cows are, everything sticks to the wall. All the shit sticks. So.
Don't. I've helped on a farm once, putting cows through the cattle crush when they have to forcibly inject them into the mouth, and I was one of the poor sods who had the pole at the back to stop them backing out. Yeah, I know why we got given that job, because nobody else wanted to get covered in shit.
Yeah.
What does a terrified cow do? Yeah.
We hauled a calf to market in the back of a pickup truck, and it was facing toward the rear, so its butt was facing us.
Yeah.
The front, and when I looked back, that cow got scared and he had his butt pressed up against the glass, and it just covered it. It was amazing.
Yeah,
it was like someone released a fire hose in the back end of the pickup truck.
Yep. Yeah, they do that. It's quite something.
So glad you guys decided to share that valuable information with us.
Well, didn't want dead air.
Information we could do without.
Yeah. Let's try again. See if you guys can hear it now.
Okay.
Just get his channel up.
Nope.
This I've clicked it off.
Nope.
No, just get another YouTube page up.
Well, this beats me, buddy.
Damn it.
I don't get it. I have no
trying
idea.
Where you have to have banana set up to do it, and
This has always worked.
No, last time it didn't work at the beginning.
What is this note that says sound may not be available when sharing a screen on your device? I don't know.
I don't either. I'm not an expert in Discord.
I don't see any buttons I can click.
if I remember right, this could make it difficult. I believe you have to be using default audio for the audio input.
Let me try that. We'll get the technical difficulties worked out here. You guys hearing me? Whoops, there we go. Let me try this.
Oh, wait there. Okay, yeah, right there.
Hey, that
Blue
works.
marble
We'll just
sights.
get
Oh,
blue
oh,
marble
no.
sights up because he's
You can hear him now.
Yeah, we can hear him now.
blue marble sights.
Cavendish, there, sir.
It's kind of low and garbled.
The Cavendish experiments.
Before we continue,
Of
I
course.
suggest you write down what you did.
I know what I did.
For tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. Okay. All right. I'll back up just a little bit and we'll try again.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Blue marble sights up because he's blue marble sights. Cavendish, there, sir.
Cavendish. The Cavendish experiments.
Of course. Which
We
one
only
did we?
want- we
Which,
only
which
want
one
a-
did we have we watched? Oh, he's done quite a few here, hasn't he? Got that's our video.
Oh,
there,
right,
look.
yeah, yeah.
Why has our video come up there?
Because we talk about
That's it. That's a website. No. Which one should we? Oh, that's episode 5. I don't
support frames measuring the density of the Earth.
Part 1. No.
Yeah, go on, just part one.
We'll just watch this for a little bit, just to give people an idea on Cavendish.
No, all you need to do is just skim through it.
Yeah, we'll just skim through it. Let's have a look at his
Show
setup.
people his setup.
So what he's got is yeah, there you go. That's what he's got. He's built this himself. That he's
He's a bored woodworker.
He's a bored woodworker anyway. But he's got himself
Yes, I do use boards when I'm working with wood. Thanks, fellas.
a torsion balance. So basically a beam, okay, suspended on a cord, and at the end of the beam are some weights, okay, and near to those weights are larger or smaller masses, and basically he's put a laser on the on one part of the arm, and if the actual beam moves, okay, you'll notice it on the laser. The laser will, on a graduated scale, it will move. Okay, quite easy to understand. And this is what allegedly what Henry Cavendish did years ago, or something very similar. And he's saying, a lot of people say that the movement in the torsion balance basically mimics gravity because the larger mass attracts the smaller mass and pulls.
It doesn't mimic gravity, it demonstrates gravity.
Yeah, they say that for a very good reason, fellas. It is gravity, and it's not. And they're going to try to say that the larger mass is governing this somehow or the other, but the two masses are attracting each other. There's an attraction both directions. Anyway, we'll get to that in a second.
And pulls the beam. Okay, this is essentially what it is. Okay, now and that demonstrates gravity. Larger masses attract smaller masses. Yeah. So you've got a person
and
falling down.
Smaller masses attract larger masses.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. You beat me to it.
Sorry.
Yeah, don't worry. It's only my show. Don't worry about it, Sean. Yeah, both masses are attracting each other. They get this slightly wrong, but it's not terribly wrong. So we'll forgive them for that. The worst part's yet to come.
Down, jumps out of an aircraft. Okay, small mass, and you've got the Earth, massive. Okay, massive mass. That mass is attracting the smaller mass. Okay, and that's why
Pulling it down.
That's why the person falls down.
Yeah,
it's very simple to understand. It's not difficult, but the big problem with it is that it can't be proved to be true. No. Nobody can prove there is an external force acting on a falling object. That's number one.
Yeah, it's like this demonstration here. He's using a number of different materials, and every one of those different materials have a different heat signature.
Yeah, well, this is how we would interpret this setup.
Now, this is a point they're going to try to make, that somehow or the other, when objects, say, sitting in your kitchen, reach thermal equilibrium, they will reach different temperatures, which is absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
The temperature
Yeah.
will reach a point of thermal equilibrium, and at that point, there is no further heat transfer, therefore no change in temperature, period, end.
I mean, are they thinking about like when you step on concrete with your bare feet and step on grass? They're both the same temperature. It's how your feet sense the temperature. It's the amount of heat lost between the two, but they're both the same temperature, right?
That can be a part of it. Let's listen to some more.
Something that Cavendish recognises that attracted the objects when he did it was heat.
It's heat.
The objects had different temperatures. So in what we're saying is that it could well be that it's just an attraction of heat.
Yeah.
It's not gravity.
Absolutely.
And that's an absolute misrepresentation of what Cavendish actually said. He never came up with that theory at all. Cavendish was concerned. Let me see if I can show this on the screen. Maybe a bit hard for you guys to read this, but yeah, let's see. Maybe I can figure out a way to expand it a little bit. Whoops, I don't think I'm going to be able to. Probably just going to have to deal with it the way it is.
So they cherry pick a word and then create a whole straw man around the word. Amazing.
I'll get this right in a minute. No, okay. I'll read just a little, just one part of it out of here. Cavendish. This is Cavendish's actual report, and Cavendish says, and this is after he had checked for to see if there was any magnetic influence. He says the next thing which suggested itself to me was that possibly the effect, and he's talking about movement that he had a hard time explaining, that possibly the effect might be owing to a difference of temperature between the weights and the case. For it is evident that if the weights were much warmer than the case, they would warm that side of the case which was next to them and produce a current of air which would make the balls approach nearer to the weights. Everybody understand what that's actually saying? Here, I'll blow it out. Actually, that'll work. He's literally saying that if you heat the sides of the case unevenly, right? One side, you get one side hotter than the other side, you're going to induce circulating air currents inside the case. It's not heat attracting anything. Heat is causing air currents inside the case. That's what he's saying. And
yep, and they got it wrong.
Yeah, and these guys misinterpret this. He goes through a bunch of testing that he did to prove it by heating up the large lead weights that he was using, and his were enormous ones, like 348 pounds or something like that. But he would actually heat them up. Well, of course, if you get a massive chunk of lead like that and bring it within a few eighth of an inch or so of that wood case, it's going to heat the case up, but only on that one side. And so, yes, you'll generate some circulating air currents inside because of it. So he went through a whole bunch of testing to prove his theory, and he found out that, in fact, that's exactly what did happen. But the moral to the story is this: if you keep everything at the same damn temperature, you don't have a problem. there is no noticeable effect from it. So they got that completely wrong. Why am I not surprised?
And as I
Yeah.
understand it, the outbuilding that it was built in had substantially thick masonry walls, so that the temperature inside would be as consistent as possible.
Yeah, that was his
Yep.
entire reason for putting it inside that. Well, they love to call it a shed because they just like to try to make it sound chintzy somehow or the other. But yeah, the entire purpose of putting it inside that enclosed area and having the telescopes that he used was so he didn't have to open the door, because he knew that opening the door was going to change the temperature inside there. And that's what he was afraid of, that he could get temperature swings that would affect this thing. But now think about what I was doing. I've got HVAC out there in that shop, and my temperature stayed within a 1 degree C pretty constantly through any single test. It never varied by more than 1 C. So
That's pretty good going.
I didn't have a problem, and I was monitoring that temperature constantly. So I didn't have any concerns about that at all. And I actually instrumented the lead balls at one point and the case with thermocouples, just to prove to myself that I was not affecting the temperature of the case by positioning the balls close to it. So that's sort of the crux of the argument. But we'll let these guys go ahead.
I mean, I think your experiment, your version of Cavendish was incredibly more detailed and more scientific than Cavendish. I mean, you actually took input from everybody and included a lot of that input in the design, and Cavendish didn't. He started from scratch. So
yeah, well, hats off to Cavendish, and I've said that from the very beginning, because think about it, I already knew what the answer was, right? Cavendish didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew
sure
what
Cavendish would have killed to have our level of technology to set this experiment up.
Oh my God, yes, absolutely. Absolutely, but you can't, all I can do is just still stand back and marvel. If I had not known what the gravitational constant is, I won't say that I wouldn't have gotten the same number. Maybe I would have. But it certainly was an advantage to know ahead of time what it should be, right? I didn't do anything to try to influence the test, but still, just the sheer thought that at the time Cavendish did it, he had no idea, and he of course wasn't measuring big G. He was literally determining the density of the Earth. Well, they're going to get around to that too in a minute. This will be funny. You guys will enjoy it, but Cavendish didn't know what the number should be. All he had a general idea. Same way Newton had a general idea what the density of the Earth was. It was, somewhere between 5 and 6. Okay, in terms of specific gravity. That's a pretty wide range. Anyway, let's listen to some more of these guys.
And another thing also, which, when you think about what Blue Marble Science is doing here, it's total bollocks, simply because he's looking at or studying lateral motion. He's not actually studying falling motion.
What in the hell are they talking about?
Oh dear.
Oh dear. Yes. Oh dear. Is that?
Talk about missing the point.
How is falling motion? What? I can't even. Well, I'm at a loss. Maybe you guys can figure out where they're coming from. why would falling motion be any different? What's
Well, they
his
don't
point?
understand the whole experiment. That's the problem.
Clearly.
They're trying to comment about something they've got no idea how complicated it is. It looks simple on the surface, but it's the tiny attention to detail, that's involved to get it to go right, and it's clearly when you look at Cavendish's paper himself, he knew about all these issues, things that could be a problem, and he addressed a lot of them.
Well, it's sort of a falling motion, but it's sideways. It's being
Well,
redirected horizontally.
It's an attraction.
Perpendicular.
It is an apparent force, a force of attraction between two objects. We happen to call it falling because we're talking about the Earth when we talk about Earth's gravity, of course. But when you talk about this, the balls are falling towards each other. Okay, the balance is literally in that frame of reference. The balance is falling toward the large mass.
They've completely missed the point of why you do the test in this way and why it's lateral motion, haven't they? They've completely missed the point that you're trying to take all of the other variables that could alter this experiment out of the picture. And by doing it this way, what you have removed is gravity.
Yeah,
that's right.
And it also directly debunks density disequilibrium, because does density work sideways?
Well, how can you debunk something as absolutely ridiculous as RDD? I mean, it's just bollocks. There's nothing to debunk in the first place. But they've missed the point that doing it this way removes gravity from the equation. So, and as Blue will know, Cavendish went through so many processes to say, well, could it be affected by this? Right, we'll get rid of that. Could it be affected by this? Right, I'll eliminate that. I'll eliminate this. And the biggest thing was eliminating gravity.
Yeah, there's a 65-page paper written on it. It's not something you just jotted down on a piece of toilet paper or a bar napkin.
Yeah, farmers, I think you need to find a different just gravity here. I think you need to imply the gravity caused by the planet we're all sat on.
Well, obviously.
Yeah.
It isolates it from the downward vector.
Yeah.
When they keep saying, "Oh, give us a demonstration of gravity in the lab." Well, first you've got to eradicate the gravity that's all around us caused by the bloody planet we're on. Yes.
Look, farmers. I understand this, and everybody else here understands. But you know that the flirts would bite onto it and.
Whatever. We know what gravity is. It's well understood and explained. And Cavendish knew full well that was something that could affect his experiment, so he had to factor it out, which of course is what he's done by making things move laterally instead of vertically.
Indeed.
Yeah. Yeah,
and they've completely missed this point. I mean, they're sitting there saying, "Oh, it's a load of crap." You don't even know how the bloody thing works. You don't know what it's doing. But that's not surprising, really, given it's these two.
I don't think they even understand the torsion balance, do they? Really?
No. They don't understand, and just stop there.
Yeah.
But I've seen it done in the vertical sense. You can do this experiment in the vertical sense. It will add and subtract to gravity if you put a big mass underneath a balance. I've seen that done. There's YouTube videos showing that done with a sensitive enough balance.
Yes, balance. But this is.
No, you can make a vertical balance.
Yeah, I think that video has been debunked as just being a flaw in the balance or in the scale they're using.
Right. Okay.
You would have to be right on the ragged edge of the last digit flipping to the next digit in order to have that happen.
Yeah. I don't know. A bunch of people looked at it and said that there's no scale that we have that's that sensitive.
I certainly don't know of one.
I believe that on that video they would need another order of magnitude on the scale.
Yeah, at least. At least. All right. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
Think about it logically. If you want to study
speed, if you want to study a train, you don't look at a car.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, you get what we're saying. You know, but these guys are so fucked up in their dream world, and they want gravity to work. They want gravity to be real in the world when it can't be
Oh, the
proved
irony.
to be real. In
They're
the world.
adorable.
That they're using lateral motion, that's horizontal motion, in order to determine or measure falling motion. Yeah. Big fail. Total big fail.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mad.
No, they're measuring the attraction, not the falling.
Hey.
There's a difference.
Another thing is also that we have to mention is that this one is he talks about the Cavendish calculations, and he talks about measuring the density of the Earth. That was in the thumbnail.
Oh, right.
Measuring the density of the Earth. The big problem with that is that Cavendish used the density of water
in order to gauge the density of the Earth.
Yeah.
And it was about at this point that I attempted to punch my monitor. Thank God I remembered.
That's why you have the warning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank goodness I had remembered to push it far enough back, and I missed. But I don't understand how these guys can't see that density. We need to make that measurement. We need something to compare it to.
Well,
the thing, most things are, Sean, let me finish.
Catch you guys later.
I thought you were.
Yeah. Okay. The thing most things are referenced to is water. Specific gravity is normally stated using water as the reference. It's an abundant source, an abundant material that we can find pretty much anywhere. So it only makes sense that you reference it to an equivalent mass of water that has a definition, right? That's what it was. That's why they did that. Just that simple.
I think their objection is that flat earthers like to say that that Earth is 70% water, and it's not. It's covered 70% by water, but it's comprised. The mass is 5%. I mean, or the volume of the Earth is 5% water. It's very low.
Yeah.
So they're saying, well, he used water, but the Earth isn't mostly water. You've got rock. So I think that's what their objection is. And they're dumb.
They just don't understand what specific gravity is, or what it means, or why Cavendish would have done a thing like that. He could have done it, stated it in terms of lead, but it's not that easy to find lead laying around. This is just crazy. Let's listen to a little more.
As a kind of baseline, as a
base
figure. But we all know that the Earth isn't entirely made of water.
Yeah, another big fail. So, it's quite clear that, nobody needs... Well, the Cavendish experiment is total bollocks at the end of it. It doesn't prove that objects fall because of gravity. A large mass pulling or attracting a small mass.
Yeah, but
it doesn't do that at all.
But I can safely say for certain that a large mass, say a large lead ball, will have a different temperature than a smaller lead ball.
Yeah, and
what?
How?
That's funny.
Yeah. Well,
how?
If you put the big lead ball in an oven, and you put the little lead ball in a freezer, yeah.
Well, yeah, but if they're both in the same area at the same time and have been there for a while,
well, then it doesn't work at all.
Why would they be at different temperatures? I mean, it's very easy for some idiot to say that, but hey, back it up.
Yeah, let's do a
and the people that watch it, they watch these guys. They're agreeing with them, right. I mean, these guys are geniuses.
Well, you missed the first sentence where they said that everything that Blue did was complete bollocks, right?
Oh yeah, of course that. Let's do a Bev and hear that again.
At the end of it, it doesn't prove that objects fall because of gravity. A large mass pulling or attracting a small mass.
Yeah, but
it doesn't do that at all.
But I can safely say for certain that a large mass, say a large lead ball, will have a different temperature than a smaller lead ball.
Yeah, and that difference will affect the motion, the interaction between the two.
All right. That's got to be one of the dumbest things I ever heard anybody say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do they come to that conclusion?
Blue, please stop saying that, because every time you say that, they come out with something dumber.
They can safely say without contradiction.
They have no concept of thermal equilibrium.
Why would that change gravity anyway?
It wouldn't. We've gone through a bit of that. Their contention was that temperature somehow or the other is causing the attraction. And they tried to say that's what Cavendish said, which he didn't. Cavendish explained it quite nicely. If you heat one side of the case more than the other side, then you'll generate a circulating air current inside the case. And that circulating air current will affect the amount of deflection the beam sees. That's true. So you got a big, huge lead mass. If it's significantly hotter or colder than the case is, and you move it really close to the case, yeah, you can affect it that way. But Cavendish went out of his way to make sure he didn't do that. And so did I. I made sure the whole thing was in thermal equilibrium before I ever did anything. So, barring a transient condition where, you arbitrarily, for whatever reason, change the room temperature by 5 degrees centigrade, the case is going to come into thermal equilibrium a lot faster than those lead balls will. So I would recommend walking away for 6 or 8 hours and let everything equalize again. But once it's stable, it's all the same temperature.
On a related note, BioDual was having a discussion with Brian Mabbott.
Yeah.
And a bet was made that if BioDual could do a certain thing with sandbags, show deflection, and then dump half the sand out and show a lesser deflection, then Brian Mabbott will admit that mass attracts mass.
Yeah.
Sure he's got
and Chemo said the same damn thing.
This is just Flurfs trying to find an excuse as to why it's not gravity. These guys think it's temperature. Other people say it's electricity.
Density.
Density, which is, density is, and then you did it with, Baldu did it with chickens and turkey. He had turkey nuggets and chicken. So
I did it with Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Well, it's like a conservative family, real straight-laced conservative family, doing everything but admit that their child is gay. They say everything but the G word.
All right, let's see what else, if they've got anything else, maybe.
Yeah.
One's going to influence the other, especially if they're held close to each other. Yeah, so you've got one idea ever since Newton came up with his idea of gravity and the celestial objects attracting one another through mass, large mass, small mass. That idea, it's a great understanding, but it cannot be proved to actually happen or occur in the natural world. Just think about it logically. Go up to a very high building and drop an apple off the top. How can you prove there's an external influence or force acting on that apple?
By measuring its acceleration downward, dipshit.
It doesn't hang there in midair.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I've seen the Roadrunner cartoons, and the Roadrunner used to hang there in air.
Meep, meep. Yeah, but that's a cartoon.
But it's reality.
I mean,
It didn't-
they think
oh,
that they think the apple should like fly and hit the side of the building when you drop it. Is that what they think?
Who knows?
If there's an acceleration, there has to be a force.
Yeah.
We don't get accelerations without forces. So you tell me where that force is coming from, Peter or Pete or whichever one you are. We got our explanation. What's yours? Where is the force coming from?
You can't do it. Can't do it. You can't do it at all.
I didn't think you could. That's why I asked.
Because you can't see it. You can't detect it.
You can't detect it. You can't measure it. You can't do anything. You know, it's just ridiculous.
Liars.
You know, you haven't got a gravitometer.
A gravitometer.
Yeah, you do have gravitometers. That's a tool, dude. What is he talking about?
I think of gravimeters and
A gravimeter, yeah, but close enough.
they do exist.
Jesus.
My God.
Why do you keep forgetting about ether wind?
There are no cat videos on YouTube.
I've lost control. Say what more, yeah.
Why does nobody acknowledge the ether wind?
Because it doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's not real, mate. Sorry.
It's bollocks. That's why.
We've looked for it. We've looked really
I
hard
heard
for it.
Lemon say that it's real.
There's your first mistake.
Yeah, I was gonna say, listening to Lemon.
Heard lots. I've heard Lemon say lots of things are real. He's long on claims and short on proofs. I know that.
Yeah,
absolutely, of course. Yeah. You know, I've never seen a video of anybody measuring the effects of the environment on a falling object.
Really?
I'm not talking about wind resistance or anything like this. I'm talking about the gravity, the forces that are acting on that falling object. The external.
Or alleged to.
Yeah. I've never seen anything.
Well, that's how a gravimeter works. It drops an object and measures the change in acceleration. That's what it does. I guess these guys don't know much about that, though, huh?
No. You know, I mean, it's just
it's all up here.
Absolutely. People see an object falling down and they think gravity. But gravity is just a word that describes or depicts falling motion. Why the object falls is doesn't come into the equation at all.
Absolutely.
Because nobody knows. Nobody knows why objects fall at all.
So that's one explanation why an object falls.
Yeah, that's one unsubstantiated reason or explanation why objects fall. Okay. Now, so
we might as well do our one then.
We may as well do our one. How can we do our one? We can't really do our one, can we?
Well, our explanation why an object falls is simply because it's an inherent property of the object itself.
Absolutely, of course. We're not saying that there's an external influence acting on an object at all. A falling object, there's nothing there. You may get air resistance, but if you take the air out and if you drop an object in a vacuum, for example, there's no, in our understanding, there's no external influence acting on the falling object. It falls because it's an inherent property of the object itself.
Falling is an inherent property of the object.
What's its units? How is it measured?
Yeah.
Relative units.
So
it doesn't.
So
inherent units.
What it's made of.
We have yet.
Objects fall the same.
Did we just come up with yet another brand new characteristic? It is now that we have fallity built into things too.
Well,
did you see Didn't you see the video that was going around like couple years ago where they dropped the feather and the hammer in the vacuum chamber
Sure.
at John Glenn Center. I mean, the biggest vacuum chamber. I mean, it fell. So he says it wouldn't fall in the vacuum. He's either lying or he's a Poe or.
No, I
maybe
think he
both.
said it would. He just said it's an inherent property built into things. Falling is an inherent property.
At least that bollocks is better than RDD.
Yeah.
I'm an inherent property of bugging people.
Yeah, the inherent property of things is they have mass. Mass is attracted by larger mass.
Any mass, smaller mass.
Or yeah, any mass, sorry.
That's intrinsic property, not inherent.
Yeah.
Is he going to get into Einstein here now, or is he going to just...
No, they're not going to go too much further into this. They're going to say the usual stupid thing in a second, though, about things trying to go back where they came from. Let's listen.
That's our opinion. That's our view. And the fact that there's nothing underneath it to hold it up. Yeah, of course. But the inherent property is always within the object. Yes, it's always there. And if you look at light gases, for example, hydrogen, helium, they rise simply because of the property of the gas. There's nothing magical or external, mysterious about falling objects. That's our point of view. That's our opinion. We can't prove that. Okay, we've got no intention of proving it. Okay, but you've also got the understanding that an object. There's something that
I can't remember. Well, the object has to be picked up and
absolutely
raised.
There we go.
It has to be elevated into a position where it will fall. So if you
the rubber
pick up
band
a stone
theory
from the ground and you hold it up above your head and then let go, it's going to fall because that object has basically gained energy because it's been raised up and lifted up. Yeah, because that's another part. But that energy is an inherent part of the object.
Yeah, you get a stone and you throw it in the air, throw it up in the air.
And so what happens if you at the top of a mountain and you put a rock in your pocket and walk to the bottom, then let it go? Is you going to fly back up to the top of the mountain?
Yeah, or you have a rock at the top of a well and you drop it down a well.
Yeah.
I think what you need to ask is what's the energy units, and in a rock that you take from ground level up to the top of a mountain, if you take a 1 kilogram rock and you've got examples of both, you should be able to measure these two different energy levels, right?
Yeah.
You should also be able to say take a rock from California and fly over to England and throw it as hard as you can and have it land back in California, because that's where it inherently came from.
That's a lot of potential energy to put into that rock. England and the United States.
But no, it's not. That's where the rock came from.
Right, that's what I said, dude.
All right.
You can use that as a weapon. You take a rock from one location, move it far away, and let it come hurtling back there.
You're providing it with a lot of energy, but the stone has come from the ground.
It's come from the ground, absolutely, of course.
So what goes up must come down.
So
it's only going back down to where it came from.
Sure.
I don't know, but I'm going to bet that if I was stood on the edge of the Grand Canyon and I found some rock laying around that no human beings ever touched, and I kicked it over the edge, I'm pretty sure it's not going to hover. I'm betting it's going to the bottom of the canyon. It's not trying to get back where it came from. It's trying to get closer to the center of the earth. What do you think about that, guys?
I think next time I go there, which I'm only like 4 hours away, I'll try that and see. I'll report back to you and see what happens.
Video it. You never know. Maybe you'll find some floating rocks out there.
Or maybe if I pick one up at the top, and I drop it over the edge, will it float back to where it was at?
I don't know. They did get one thing right. They correctly identified the rock having potential energy when you raise it up. Yes.
Yeah.
You've given it some
Did they say
gravitational
potential?
potential. Yeah.
Yeah,
You've given it
Because
some
potential
gravitational.
energy, I think, related to forces.
I'm sorry.
I think potential energy is related to forces. You can look it up.
Yeah, I'm not sure where you're going, Shaky. You've given it gravitational potential energy. That would be true. So let's see if they've got anything else. I think that's about the end of it. But
I mean that's how we we don't really we feel that we don't need to question why objects fall. They do fall because they do.
Yeah, and
they fall because they do.
And Aristotle put forward the view that the Earth is the centre of the universe.
Well, that was his view. Yeah, of course. Yeah. The Earth was, and everything falls to the Earth. Everything is attracted to the Earth.
Yeah.
Or it will fall. I mean,
or everything comes from the Earth.
Everything comes from the Earth. Absolutely. When you think about it, everything does come from the Earth.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's our view anyway. We can't prove it. Nobody can disprove it either.
Yeah.
We could a lot of these we could discuss it with lots of people, but it would just be a circular argument. They'll go round and round. Well, we don't want to get involved in circular arguments because they're a waste of time. Waste our time. They waste your time as well.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, there's just an opinion because that's all we can ever have about the natural world. An opinion.
Yeah.
There's so much wrong in it.
I think we've had about enough of their opinions.
We can test opinions. We can do experimentation to discover whether an opinion is valid.
It's interesting that he said Aristotle said that we are in the center of the universe, and then right after that he said the rocks fall to the ground, which would be the center of the universe, falls towards the center. I mean, I may be reading way too much into what he's saying, but everything falls towards the center of the gravitational field of that object.
The Earth's not the center of the universe. Galileo found that when he looked at Jupiter.
I understand that.
Yeah. Clive
Actually, with an infinite universe, every point is the center.
Clive Wells out in the chat points out that minus the gradient of potential energy is the force. Okay. So that's what Shaky was talking about.
Yeah, potential energy is associated with forces. So if they say potential energy, they shoot themselves in the foot.
Yeah. Anyway, these guys go on for quite a while, and it's not really worth listening to. But
it's just their opinion in their words.
Yeah. I thought it was a little interesting that they had taken the time once again to get Cavendish wrong. Anyway, that'll be about enough.
Cavendish wrong, Blue. I mean, they must say that Cavendish is wrong because Cavendish is I would say proves gravity. Is a evidence for gravity.
Yeah.
And they have to get rid of it. It's either going to be, these guys say it's temperature, the other morons say it's electrical, even though the fact it's all grounded and made out of wood. And then you have Don saying that, you don't know about dielectricism. Things are dielectric. That's a repulsion force. And it's...
My favorite thing is when they say that gravity is a non-coherent dielectric acceleration. Non-coherent dielectric just means it's non-magnetic, and nothing can be magnetic unless it's coherent dialectic unless the magnetic particles in the metal align with each other. It has to be coherent. So when they say it's whatever they say that is, they have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah, well, they perhaps ought to look the word dielectric up sometime and see what it means.
It means the ability to pass energy, I believe, didn't it? Isn't it? Something like that?
Basically means it's an insulator.
Or an insulator. Yeah, I looked it up once and forgot about it because I need to know it. There's no reason.
So hello, Stingray. How are you? Is he still in here?
Yeah.
Yeah, there he is. He's still there. Yeah, interested to see if he survived the Brian Leakey encounter yesterday.
Oh, that didn't go very well, did it?
I've got that video queued up, ready to play.
Oh.
Well, Brian's little yarn on the globe model there. That was inspired. He found the ground position of the sun.
Yeah, it was an amusing discussion. Brian got fairly upset with all of us, I think. Kind of thought he might be dropping in here today. You never know. Never too late. Of course, then again, maybe I better be careful what I wish for.
You should just thank your lucky stars that QE doesn't come in here and hand you your ass.
It's a small matter of letting him come in here first.
Oh, QE won't ever go anywhere. He doesn't have control over the mute button.
Well, yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, that's pretty much true. Did you guys watch Mr. Sensible's latest video on Nathan Oakley and Oakley's behavior with that pilot he was talking to?
Yep.
I love
wanted to know where he works so he could report him to his employer and say sack him because he's dangerous, because as a pilot he doesn't allow for Coriolis, so therefore he's putting everybody in danger. But not as quite as polite as that.
Did he actually do that?
No.
Oh.
This one's for Alan. Shout out to Anamorphic Mind for $5. Blue, here's some money to help get a silencer for Alan's keyboard.
And I was trying to type quietly too. But then I have to type so slowly.
Well, if you just mute yourself, nobody can hear the keyboard then.
I know, I forget. Well, no, it's not so much I forget, it's that I forget to unmute myself.
Yes.
There's nothing more obnoxious than nobody paying attention to you because you muted yourself.
Blue, what is so difficult about these guys not understanding that when you fly an airplane, you basically draw a line on a map and then you fly that line and you correct for winds, you correct for a little bit for Coriolis, you just correct, for your mistakes, you just fly that line.
Yeah, that's exactly what you do.
I mean, it's not that difficult a concept, but these guys tend to get all up in knots because they have to deny that Coriolis occurs.
Well, it's there. It's real. It has to be there.
Nathan explained it, didn't he? Nathan explained Coriolis. Well, thought he did.
Do a horrible job. Didn't do a good job.
It's all part of reclassifying every science that debunks them as pseudoscience.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Nathan has absolutely no clue about Coriolis or how it works.
Nope.
Well, the other thing is that if you get in an airplane in London and fly to Los Angeles, you're going to be up over Hudson Bay. And how's that work on the flat Earth? There's no way I can get that to work on any flat Earth map. And even worse is when you get to Australia and have to fly. The one I particularly like is when you fly from South America to Australia or even Perth. Even you go pretty much right over the South Pole.
Yep. I don't think I don't think Coriolis is terribly difficult to understand in a very simplistic sense. The merry-go-round really is a terrible way of explaining it, but it sort of gets the point across on a very low level. But why these guys have such a difficulty with it and cannot understand that motion is relative. And
because they indoctrinated themselves that it is something is spinning under you.
Yeah.
Well, have you ever thought, like, if we're moving 500,000 miles an hour around this galactic center, what keeps us from, like, being torn apart by forces? That's 500,000 miles an hour, man. I go on my bicycle 20 and feel my beard wiggling in
Yeah, well, don't try doing that through the atmosphere. You're going to have a problem, aren't you? They just can't get the idea in their head that motion is relative. And it depends on your frame of reference as to what the motion looks like.
Mavitt was going on yesterday about supersonic speeds, and you're going like, no, it's not supersonic speeds unless you're moving through the atmosphere. When you move with the atmosphere, it's not supersonic.
Yeah, that's right. The one that drives them crazy is the idea that a projectile can be moving in a straight line in an inertial frame of reference while curving in a non-inertial frame, or being perfectly stationary if you let the reference frame be the projectile itself. And it's really doing all three of those things all the time, simultaneously. That plus countless other things in other frames of reference. It's just relative to where you happen to be. But an airplane absolutely is experiencing Coriolis. And if you get into sophisticated inertial navigation systems, there are control loops in there that are keeping track of that. It has to. Now, we don't notice it as a pilot because it's so small. It's such a slight amount of force on the airplane. The other forces are orders of magnitude greater. Wind, for instance. We never noticed Coriolis. But if you could eliminate, if you had a perfect airframe that flew perfectly straight, good luck trying to find that one, and you had a absolutely calm atmosphere with no wind whatsoever, you would then be you would find yourself having to correct slightly for the Coriolis force. It's not optional. And it's not imaginary either. That deflection is real. It really
When I tell
happens.
them we actually do correct for Coriolis force because the Coriolis is the main cause of the winds on the planet, they get very upset with me.
Yeah, then you got that problem too. Yeah, but I couldn't believe what I was hearing when I listened to Nathan talking about finding out who this guy was so he could get him fired. Right, Nathan. Yeah. Right.
Here's the Flat Earth Adventure ride where they strap you into a machine and they do one revolution every 24 hours. And that's going to be exhilarating.
Hold on tight. Whee! Hang on, it's not moving.
Yeah.
The other guy was. Another guy was complaining about the acceleration between apogee and perigee. Well, first of all, you wouldn't feel it, but even if you did, I calculated out it's like getting to the top of the on-ramp, slamming down the accelerator and going from 0 to 60 in a day. It's going to really snap your head back.
Wait, what we talking about?
We're talking how these forces are very, very minute. I posted a thing about the Flat Earth Adventure Ride, where they strap you into it and do one revolution every 24 hours, and everyone thinks you're supposed to feel that.
Yeah, which forces?
A really cool amusement park would be the Great Glacial Race. That would be fun.
You must.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you must remember that you have to tell them that under no circumstances must they remove their seatbelt while the ride is in motion.
Can you imagine if we actually did feel the Earth rotate? We'd all be dizzy and leaning to the left,
No, are you talking about Earth orbit?
Yes. Well, the Earth's. I was actually this is the Earth's rotation. The Earth's orbit is a year-long process, which is even smaller movement. But okay.
And of course, we have Gary out in the chat saying, Coriolis effects cannot be measured by any pilot.
Wolfie did that.
Yeah, I'm reading that.
Didn't Wolfie do that with his really fancy machine?
He
actually showed you there's like a degree and a half bank to the left or something.
1/10 of a degree or something.
Something like that. But I mean, you would need a really good airplane with it's new and it's got all the bells and whistles on it.
Gary has emotional issues.
Well, the navigation system is keeping track of it. It's measuring it. It has to.
Dr. Bob was actually talking about flying backwards one day when he had his old Cessna and the winds were blowing.
I've done that in a 150. That's fun.
Yeah, posted a video once of someone flying backward.
Yeah, if you can find a day when you get nice strong winds at, say, 2,000 feet, you put a 150 in slow flight, and yes, you can go backwards.
I've seen a Fiesta Storch, the German spotter aircraft, World War II era, at Duxford, flying into a headwind and basically just hovering there.
Yeah.
30 foot off the ground, just going nowhere. He just got the perfect point of balance.
Yeah, them things will almost do VTOL on the day, won't they?
Yeah, I mean, talk about short takeoff and landing. Bloody hell, yeah, they almost do. But yeah, he'd got a strong wind blowing across sort of the runway, and yeah, he just got it to hang there. That is quite something to watch.
Yeah, I've seen videos when they land them. They just they come in and they pull up, nose up, and then they just drop.
Boom, there you go. Yeah.
There's an Alaskan bush pilot that lands on a riverbank who basically does that.
Yeah. They're amazing.
Then when he takes off, he basically just goes straight up. Of course, he's got like a 50-knot headwind or something.
He got a strong headwind. So much flap you wouldn't believe it. Yeah, they can just down it. Well, I mean, the Storch he did. He was hovering. He weren't going anywhere. He'd got the angle. He'd got the throttle setting just right.
Yeah. They almost look like a toy too. They're just so, the dimensions are so disproportionate, and the legs or the landing gear, the front landing gear is so tall because it has to be in an upward angle.
That's it.
It's weird looking.
Looks very spindly, but big those big high mounted wings and just flaps all over the bloody place.
Well, it's not difficult when you can get certainly some of these modern style aircraft that'll take off at 30 knots. It's not hard to find 30 knots of wind in places, is it?
Well, not in this country.
Not at times.
here on the West Coast, we get some pretty heavy wind.
Yeah, so Gary in the chat, I got some good news for you. I'm going to let you keep your spanner. All you got to do to keep it is post all of your pilot ratings. Tell us exactly what ratings you hold. And if you don't hold any, we'll accept a statement from you that says, I don't know jack shit about flying. Thank you very much.
This Wabanga?
Yeah.
Oh, you're expecting honesty? Oh.
Oh, I think you're going to be disappointed.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll give him a chance.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, when it comes to Coriolis effects in our fluid atmosphere, there's other stuff going on most of the time that is usually going to be order of 10 or order of 100 times greater that you're dealing with. So why are you going to be too worried about the actual Coriolis pit?
Well, you're just trying to stay over the top of an imaginary line on the ground. The path you wanted to follow. That's all you're doing. No different than really driving down the interstate. You're just trying to stay in the lane, right? We're doing the same thing in an airplane. We're trying to follow that route of flight that we've planned for. And
I think they also think that it takes an hour to go from the North Pole to the equator.
If we're deviating from it, then we're going to correct to get back over the top of it. That's the way we do it. That's how it's done.
That's a pretty fast airplane to go from the North Pole to the equator in an hour.
Well, I think that's what they think. I mean, Coriolis should blow you right off your path. No, I mean, it takes a long time to fly.
The other thing that confuses them is planes are not bullets. They're not, they're not naval shells. You don't have to put in a naval shell and a bullet. You have to put all your correction in at the very beginning. In an airplane, you make gradual corrections over the whole time of your flight. Airplanes are not ballistic.
Yeah, and you've really got to be throwing artillery shells. Coriolis really starts to become an issue.
Yeah, I mean, they say a drone or a helicopter. A helicopter, won't hover, or it'll hover there. No, it won't. You have to make it hover. Helicopters don't have autopilot. You have to physically manhandle it to where you want it to be. I mean, a helicopter that doesn't hover means that pilot kept it there. Or, if it won't move with the earth moving underneath it, they kept it there.
Yeah. I think they now have actually got autopilot for helicopters.
Oh, they do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I believe they have them fitted to the Apache helicopters.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you can do it. Sorry, Blue.
Yeah, they've had autopilots for helicopters for forever.
Oh, well, okay. Never mind.
Got to fit it to the A-10 though.
I don't know if they can auto land a helicopter yet.
And another shout out to Bjorn Kamitz, another 100 SEK. And he says, it's always a joy stumbling into one of your streams. Thank you. And thanks to all the participants of the stream. Good night, my friends, and thinking of science. Thanks, Bjorn. I really appreciate it, buddy. Thank you so much.
I was involved in an auto rotate once.
So that
they had to test they had to do some testing on a Huey, and I got to ride along. That's a hard landing.
I've done it in the sim, and the guy was amazed I did it. So he had me do it again, and I wasn't successful the second time.
I know the Apache does have the facility to automatically hover in place, and I've seen one do that when I was working at Bryce Norton in quite a strong side wind, and he was just prattling about at our end of the runway. He was having a whale of a time, and obviously trying all sorts of things out, and yeah, it looked like he was in auto hover because that just held its place so carefully. But yeah, they can. They like I say, they put it in helicopters. They forgot to put it in the A-10.
Being in the back of an in the back of a Puma helicopter when they did an auto rotation descent, but they didn't take it all the way to landing.
No.
Is an A-10 a British helicopter?
No, the A-10 is the American tank buster, and when they flew them over the Atlantic for the first Gulf War, they had to fly manual all the way through a storm.
Oh.
Because they didn't have an autopilot, because I think when they designed them they just didn't think they'd need an autopilot, so one never got fitted.
One of the nicknames of that craft is the Widowmaker. They've had a problem with it where the ejection mechanism, one of the rockets will fire late, and it'll twist the chair and wrap the chair up in the cord.
But yeah, I read an account from when they used them in the first Gulf War back in 1991, whenever it was, and they said they had to fly them across the Atlantic, obviously refueling all the way, and there's this huge thunderstorm. They said no, they just had to fly through it.
And you don't want to be dragging those guys because they take forever. They're so slow.
Well, yeah, because of obviously what they're built for. But yeah, they said got all these clever, it's fly by wire, but it's also got a mechanical backup system in case that gets damaged. This, that, and the other. Autopilot, no.
We don't need
flew it manually all the way.
Oh my god! But I didn't. I was fortunate enough. I talked to some friends who drug those things back from England to the United States. It takes like 14 hours.
Yeah.
The tankers there at like 20 degrees flaps for like 2 hours just because. Oh man.
They have to limit the fire rate on those things. The cannon shoots so hard that if they go full auto for too long, it'll basically stop the plane in midair.
Oh yeah, it's when they fire it, it's still building up speed, isn't it? You've either got a half or a second burst, and it's still getting up to speed.
Yep.
Yeah.
They detuned the engines a long time ago too.
That's a bit of kit.
My dad did work for a company called Battelle, Battell. They're a research firm who does R&D for military. They got a lot of military contracts. And my dad helped design a gas deflection system for the Gatling gun so it wouldn't foul the engines.
What does this have? What's Crit up to?
Huh?
So my dad was instrumental in redesigning the weapon system on the A-10.
Looks like Doofus is posting something from Conspiracy Santa. That's Crit. He's got the Evergreen or whatever it was that was in the Panama Canal, and saying that he's got the Cavendish experiment.
Oh, I had been watching it.
He's in the Discord. I want. Wybanga, you do correct for Coriolis because Coriolis causes the winds. Okay? There. No, go away.
See, Gary doesn't have to have pilot credentials because he's smarter than everyone. He doesn't need them.
Oh, here's a good one from Repose Man. Gary doesn't have a pilot license, but he filled up at a pilot's gas station once, so he knows things. That's pretty good, Repose Man.
That was pretty good.
Hey, it said, is the Foucault pendulum so-called because flirts don't know Foucault about it?
Oh dear.
I do
that's
like
remember
that. I like
I
that
remember
one.
Anthony Riley and his Foucault.
Michel Foucault.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Looked at the Wikipedia page of the wrong Foucault and even searched for pendulum and couldn't find it, and that didn't ring any bells.
Yeah,
Michael Foucault. Yeah.
some gay guy that died like after the thing. After,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
fairly well known.
hilarious.
It's actually a fairly well known French writer.
Is he?
Of course, I don't read much French, but
I mean, you think that as many times as that boy has just completely screwed everything up, you'd think he'd stop, you know?
and here we go again. I bang a fictional force. Just because something is a fictional force or apparent force doesn't mean it's not a real force. That's not.
Many an engine has come apart due to the fictional force of centrifugal forces.
Fictional forces, yeah.
If you take your car and make a sharp turn, that force you feel to the outside, that's a fictional force. Don't tell me it's not real.
If you get your engine up to 24,000 RPMs, you're going to have some problems too.
I think Tusk wants us to pronounce Foucault a little differently.
I think it's Foucault or Foucault.
Okay.
I don't know what it is.
You have to plug your nose in. Foucault.
Well, if I climb on top of my house and I look even with binoculars or a telescope in all directions, my world is observably without cows, so cows don't exist.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Wonder what else is going on around YouTube land. Oh, looks like the triangle abusers are at it again.
Yeah.
I have never observed a flat earther in real life. So flat earthers don't exist.
Yeah, every time I look at it, I find some reason to believe it's curved. Especially all those spiffy pictures NASA gives us.
Yeah. Lots of those, aren't there?
Yeah, and I can't find any of them that are fake.
It's CGI because it has to be.
Yeah, and I can still vividly remember sitting in the front office of a PC-10 flying up the spine of Italy and being amazed at the way the mountains came up over the horizon from, mid-30,000 feet. It was just so obviously curving away from me.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of hyper accelerated videos from rockets, and it's like, yeah, it does look curved to me.
I will give them, if you live in Kansas and you crawl out from under your rock and look around, the earth look flat. I'll give them that. But then if you do any investigation at all,
Well, yeah, I've watched mountains grow up out of the ground many, many times.
right? Why can't we see? Everyone says we see too far. Why can't we see the Rocky Mountains from Chicago?
Hell, Kansas City or St. Louis.
Yeah, we should be able to see it. I mean, they're big enough. The Raleigh criteria, the one, they're a big enough object, we should be able to see them on the
Yeah.
horizon.
Well, I don't know how many times I've taken flights from Atlanta to Los Angeles, and you fly within a couple 100 miles of the Gulf Coast. Not once have I ever seen the Gulf Coast. I don't think anybody else ever has either.
I pulled down the Atlantic coast in the boat, and like things kept on popping up out of the water, and then behind me they were just dipping back down into the water, like bridges, other boats.
Yeah. Funny how that happens, isn't it?
Yeah, I watched that for 56 hours.
Oh, good grief. Quantum Eraser is live. Talking about Coriolis.
Oh, I gotta go.
Yeah, it says here he streamed live for a few hours.
This is Danny.
Uh-oh. He's even got me in here. How's that? Oh, I think we just have to do this.
Ooh.
Let me see if he's...
Damn flat. It's hard to kill those zombies.
Mm-hmm. Well, they can.
wonder if I should put that on screen.
What's going on, Blue?
Hey, B-Ball, what's going on?
Not much. Are we about to listen to Quantum Eraser?
I don't know if we are or not. Looks like you may have had a few unkind things to say about me.
Who'd thought it? It's usually so polite.
What is their leading argument nowadays? They're still talking about sextants?
Oh, I don't know.
Hey, you're in there, Blue. Yeah, you are. What? 111.38. You're there. 109. It's starting about
107.
107 or so. Yeah. 108.
Yeah, right about 108.
Mr. Gumby football field. What?
You know what? Why not?
Burger eating hillbilly baltard bums. Wow, that's
it's creative. Hey, it's creative. You gotta hand him that. Let's see. Let me put.
I mean, you have to consider this is the guy that said that humans don't get energy from food or water.
We don't?
That's what Quantum Eraser says.
But I thought in the army he was a dietitian.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, me too.
That's what I heard, at least.
But according to him, humans do not get energy from food or water.
I heard him
Why
say
did we
that.
bother eating it then?
Heard him say that he had fired every weapon in the Army's arsenal.
Oh, yeah.
I somehow highly doubt that.
That's a tall order.
Did you fire up a couple nukes, too?
Mm.
Or
Nukes aren't real.
Well, he also said he was a sniper, and the proof is that he was an 11 Bravo. Now, you have to be an 11 Bravo to be a sniper, but being a sniper does not make you an 11 Bravo. That's your base MOS of every soldier in the Army.
That is true.
I think he was saying he was a snipper. He was giving I can't think of the word.
Well, something he was
He's
doing, something he was doing to the broccoli, you mean?
he is what we called in the Army a bullshit artist, latrine lawyer.
Yeah.
Let's see what he says about me.
Oh yeah, come on, let's have a laugh.
You guys watching on? If you're over in Discord, watch my
Oh
live
yes.
stream. Okay. Here we go. Let's listen to our friend QE.
You know, less than 30 seconds ago. We didn't say that. That's not what we mean. Right? I got you by the short hairs. So, from this numpty dipshit, from Hillbilly Blue Balls, the redneck retard, Mr. Gumby Football Field. We'll get to that. I don't know if we'll get that today. He's got so many names. We may not get that today, but that's coming. We might have a teaser for next week. That's fucking hilarious. But anyway, I digress. QE, we never said that. Well, the poster child of numpty baltard dipshits did. This is what he said. It is one non-inertial reference frame. That's where Coriolis takes place, not two reference frames. That's on recorded video on one of his dipshit presentations.
And I stand behind that 100%, QE. Coriolis does not take place in an inertial frame of reference, you dumbass. Coriolis only takes place in a rotating, let me say that again, rotating non-inertial frame of reference. I don't know what's wrong with you guys.
I went and got it from Flatzoid. I remember Flatzoid did something on him a while ago. This is where I got it. It took me back to that video. So that's what he said. So, booger-eating hillbilly ball-tard bum sniffer. How do we have Coriolis, which is an inertial force, without an inertial reference frame? Riddle me that.
I think I just did.
Come on, Blue. He put it all in capitals and he yelled a lot.
I think
How can you deny that?
I believe we just explained it.
Was it red?
It's red, capitalized, big, and underlined.
And
If you're in trouble
underlined.
now, it's red.
You can't refute
And
that.
3 times as large as the. QE should take a course on how to make presentations. How to make PowerPoint, because he does a really horrible job.
Yeah.
Why is he doing it in Gmail's email?
I mean, it looks like it's done in HTML4.
I mean, that's definitely a Google email thing, isn't it?
Because he doesn't know how to work in Word or something, so he's using email.
I guarantee the 5th graders that he says are in class that we'd fail are using like Word Perfect or using Word documentation or using software that he doesn't know how to use to do their papers and stuff. That didn't come out too right.
This
You just learning the language?
Evidently so.
All right.
He said that we'd fail 5th grade science. Well, 5th graders know how to use word processing software. So he isn't as smart as a 5th grader.
Never mind.
You clown fuck of epic proportions. That's only one of this numpty dipshit's claims.
This whole thing stems from the description Wikipedia has. And Wikipedia, quite correctly, states that Coriolis occurs in a non-inertial frame of reference that is rotating with respect to an inertial frame. That's the only reason that they've come up with this horse shit. That's correct to state it that way, but Coriolis, the inertial frame of reference, has nothing to do with Coriolis. other than establishing the fact that you're in a rotating non-inertial frame. That's all. And that's all that sentence means. These idiots, dipshits like QE, don't get it, and they have never been able to understand it. It's just extra words. They're perfectly fine words. There's nothing wrong with it. But the inertial reference frame doesn't have a damn thing to do with Coriolis. Anybody have another opinion?
Well, I think he's confused because of the inertia. I think it's come from the reference frame. That's why he's confused.
Yeah, maybe. But he's been confused by this since day one. You cannot have Coriolis force in an inertial frame of reference. And you cannot not have it in a rotating non-inertial frame of reference. These guys are unbelievable. QE, you need to go to school, boy.
That's what's so funny. Any place you go and get a definition of the Coriolis effect, it's going to have this in it.
You want to bet?
Then what you got? You're finished. How can you have the Coriolis takes place in only one non-inertial reference frame, not two reference frame, but have the Coriolis be an inertial force? Married bachelors are over in the corner, doubled over from tear-jerking belly laugher syndrome. You're an abject retard, sir, and everyone that follows you or comes up with this.
Unbelievable. That's pretty much what we expect out of QE, though, isn't it?
Damage control.
Yeah. You guys chat amongst yourself. Let me do something real quick.
Well, you've got to deny Coriolis, because if you don't deny Coriolis, you have to admit that the Earth is rotating. The Earth is rotating. It's not the stationary sphere, flat plane, whatever they think it is.
Yeah, it's damage control. They got to keep putting out the same propaganda, the same indoctrination to make sure that his followers stay flat and give him money.
Does he make money off of this?
I think QE gets donations. I don't think he's monetized. I think he goes through PayPal and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, you can make donations via PayPal. No, he is monetized. Smash and Super Chat. So he's monetized BitChute. He's probably monetized over on BitChute several ways. But yeah, he's getting paid.
Yeah, I'm
Hey,
sure
if
he
you
picks
live
up
in
some.
if you live in the Virginia area, I just put up 50-cent new G6 and you need to radiate your asses.
Yeah, I was just looking up a few definitions of Coriolis.
And I think someone pointed out, maybe you, I know Bob the Science Guy pointed out that every one of QE's citations directly contradicts him.
Oh, yeah, it's easy to debunk a QE video anytime. All you got to do is take his own references.
Yeah.
And usually not read more than one or two paragraphs in front of or behind whatever it is he's quoting.
Well, you know the difference between a citation and a reference. He always comes back with that.
Well, let's see. This is from Science Direct. The Coriolis force arises when Newton's equations of motion are written in a rotating coordinate system. Named from Gustav de Coriolis. His studies of dynamical problems associated with rotating machinery were presented to the Académie des Sciences, whatever that is, in Paris in 1831. You see any mention of a inertial frame of reference here, QE, you dipshit? I don't think so. In fact, the only place you're going to find it is in that freaking Wikipedia article that you constantly refer to without ever saying so.
I'd put money on the fact that he probably edited it to say that.
I don't know. You can go to pretty much any one of these, and you'll get the same. Let's see what. This is National Geographic. Let's see what it says. The Coriolis effect describes the pattern of deflection taken by objects not firmly connected to the ground as they travel long distances around Earth. Coriolis effect is responsible for many large-scale weather patterns. So they're really only talking about weather in this one, but that doesn't surprise me. The key to the Coriolis effect lies in Earth's rotation. Now, these guys are not talking about frames of reference, so let's see what else we can find. Yeah, Encyclopedia Britannica. Let's see what they say. Coriolis force, also Coriolis effect. In classic mechanics, an inertial force described by the 19th century French engineer Coriolis. Coriolis showed that if ordinary Newtonian laws of motion of bodies are to be used in a rotating frame of reference, an inertial force acting to the right of the direction of body motion for counterclockwise rotation of the reference frame, or to the right for clockwise rotation, must be included. Again, QE, you window-licking dipshit. There is no mention of an inertial frame of reference. Good God.
Excuse me. I was going to say, I've got a reference from Physics Volume 1, Solomon Gertenhaus. It's actually a physics textbook, if you'd want to hear it.
Yeah, I'd love to.
All right, chapter 10, section 11, deflection of a falling body on a rotating planet. If a body is dropped from a height h above the surface of the Earth, then it is usually thought that it falls vertically downward towards the ground. However, precision measurements show that this is not at all the case, but rather because of the rotation of the Earth about its axis, there is a very slight eastward deflection of all such falling bodies. The purpose of this section is to analyze this effect. Physically, this eastward deflection of a falling body may be thought of as being produced by fictitious forces that come into play by virtue of the fact that the Earth is an accelerated reference frame. That is, because of the Earth's rotation about its axis, each point on its surface undergoes a centripetal acceleration directly radially inward, so that all origins fixed to the respect to the Earth's surface are accelerated. The fictitious force associated with this acceleration has been given the name Coriolis force. And so that's actually Coriolis effect when on falling radially downward. Interesting.
Yeah.
Has to do with conservation of angular momentum.
That's right. And again, no mention of any inertial frame of reference.
Nope.
But here, this is where he gets it from. Let me go back to the screen. Hopefully I'm still sharing. This is Wikipedia. This is QE graduated from the University of Wikipedia, obviously. It says, in physics, the Coriolis force is an inertial or fictitious force that acts on objects in motion within a frame of reference that rotates, and this is where he picks it up, with respect to an inertial frame. That's just a way of describing a rotating frame of reference. The inertial frame has nothing to do with the Coriolis effect. These guys are clowns. Absolute clowns. So QE, anytime you want to take me on this, be my guest. You let me know. I'll be glad to show up. Not on your damn show. You pick a spot. Good. I feel better now.
So I went into his chat. I watched his show for a few minutes today, and I popped into his chat and said, QE wouldn't know Coriolis from raviolis. And Nathan Oakley got all triggered and started talking about food. It's like, oh yeah, I love raviolis. I love Indian food. It's great with naan bread. Like, he doesn't even know geography.
Ravioli is Indian food, huh?
Is it really? Oh, didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Nathan Oakley. And then and Sleeping Warrior and Arwen were all like, they love the diversion.
Well, these guys honestly think they can learn physics by reading Wikipedia. Rather sad. But that's where he gets it from.
Yeah, I ran into that problem I was talking to some flat earthers for like 6-7 hours the other day for some reason. And we're talking about index, basically refraction, and how refraction occurs when you move from one index of refraction or medium to another one. And so I gave him a definition of that. He's like, tell me, cite that source. Like, I can't give you a website for that because I learned it in textbook. I don't have that with me. It's like, I like reading books.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
If they can't find it on a YouTube video, they don't believe it's correct. There's not a Wikipedia article to go along with it. Must not be right. My friend Clive Wells is out there in the chat too, explicitly showing the formulas.
Yeah, I just noticed that.
But QE, if you go back through this, QE, okay. If you were to go back through this and try to read the chat right about here, where Clive puts those formulas in there, maybe you want to think about vector cross products. Because you can't figure it out without them.
Yeah, Blue, can I please not think about vector cross products? Right at this minute.
Yeah, it's literally the vector cross product of the rotation vector and the velocity vector of the object. that is the Coriolis force. Yeah, I'm sure that's asking a bit much of those guys. But
I
what
was
do I
watching
know?
a video. I'm sorry, go ahead.
What do I know? I'm just a redneck retard, according to him.
Saw a video where they made grinders, grain mills in, I think, India. And they take a cylinder and roughen up the surface, the surface of it, and then they pivot that on a platter. I guess, a round disc of granite. And when they move it, the difference in the movement closer to the center of the rotation creates the grinding pattern of the grain. So that's, I guess, kind of an example of Coriolis. They don't move at the same rate as the thing that's under at that point. Right? The center is going to, the closer to the pivot, that cylinder is going to drag. Or if it moves at its rate, in contact with the base, the outside is going to move faster. Or it's going to drag on the outer rim. It's hard for me to explain this.
Yeah, need a picture to see what what you're talking about.
So you have like I'm going to guess you have like standard circular millstone, and then on top of it you have a cylindrical millstone.
Yeah.
That you can rotate around the central axis of the big circular mills, traditional big circular millstone.
Yes.
And as and because that has to go at it's essentially going at different speeds over. But yeah, it gets a bit complicated, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's sort of like how Coriolis works. You get a drag
If I
the
remember
further you go
rightly,
north.
it makes the crushed up stuff fall off the outside edge of the millstone.
Yeah. Just the drag it would experience at different places along the length of the cylinder is sort of related to Coriolis, because that's why you get the rotational effect of storms, because you get a different rate of speed depending on where north or south you are.
Well,
it's not exactly the same, but
once again, QE has demonstrated quite adequately that he is absolutely clueless. Stay in the kitchen where you belong, QE.
Well, actually, I think he could have a career as a comedian. The way he talks.
Maybe.
But he should stick to comedy.
It's more like a shock jock than anything else.
Yeah, sort of. He's a
schlock jock.
He's a slightly better version of Demock. That's all.
Like Howard Stern, those kind of assholes.
Yeah. That's the ones. That's the ones. Yeah, I have to laugh every time they get off on this topic. It's clear where they get it from. It's always been clear exactly where those words come from. They read that first sentence in Wikipedia, and it's about the only place I've ever seen it. But Rob, I mean, you tell me. To me, that's a very proper way of describing a rotating non-inertial frame.
Yeah, that works for me.
Yeah. But once you've said, yes, okay, got it, this is actually a rotating non-inertial frame of reference. I know that because I compared it to an inertial frame. Beyond that, you have no need for the inertial frame. Nothing happens in the inertial frame. Well, it can if you want it to, but that's not the question. We're here on the Earth. We're seeing motion from that non-inertial frame. Not some fictitious point out in space. Oh, well. Good. I'm glad I get a little publicity out of QE.
I always think about, when I think of Coriolis, I always think about a marble on a turntable.
Yeah.
If you take a marble and you throw it out to the outside of a turning turntable, if you're in the inertial reference frame outside the turntable, then you see it curve. But if you're actually in the rotation frame of the turntable, it actually goes straight. If you're rotating with the turntable, then it actually seems to go straight from middle to edge. It only appears to curve if you're outside of that rotation frame. So I guess that's where they're getting the two frames or two frames.
I don't know what they're. No, I just think they do. They get it because it's mentioned in that first sentence in that wiki article. That's where I think it comes from.
Well, actually, what it tells you is that if you observe Coriolis, you're in a non-inertial rotating frame of reference.
That's right.
Otherwise, you wouldn't observe it.
Yeah, you can't. And it's not fictitious. It's really curving. It really is actually doing that in that frame of reference.
Someone really wants Gary to come back. I don't know why, but all right.
Yeah, who would? I can science that says they don't understand what a frame is. They think the Earth is a frame and the air is a frame. Yeah.
Yeah, and space is a frame. Yeah.
The most amazing part about it is they think you can leave one reference frame and go into another reference frame. That objects are only in one reference frame at a time. It's been impossible to convince these nitwits that everything is in every frame of reference all the time. You can't remove anything.
Yeah, it's just how you want to approach the problem.
Yeah, you just need to look at one, pick one you want to look at. Drives them crazy. Here's another sign. I'm sorry, go ahead, Alan.
I like to think of it as walking from one room to another in a house. All the rooms are in the house.
The placement of your camera, where you observe from, or what you're observing.
Yeah, ballistic object in an inertial frame of reference is going in a straight line. I'm not talking about vertical drop or anything with gravity, but moving in a straight line. But that same object, when seen in a non-inertial reference frame, is not. It's curving. It really is curving. Its path is curved. That's what we see. That's what we see rotating around low pressure systems or high pressure systems. In fact, you can see it on any day of the week. just pull up a weather map and see where the low pressure centers are, and then pull up a winds aloft chart and look at the direction of the wind. You'll see the counterclockwise rotation around every low. It's easy to observe it.
Yeah. You can even see it quite obviously in the satellite weather photos, can't you?
Yeah. You don't have to wait for a hurricane. All you need is
I can give it a
low.
Go ahead.
All you need is a low pressure center. That's all, or a high for that matter. It rotates the opposite direction.
I was going to say I can give an astronomy example of why you would use one frame over the other, but apparently astronomy isn't a science. But if I want to calculate what the Lagrange points are between two orbiting bodies, I'm not going to do it in an inertial frame because the math just gets unnecessarily complicated.
Yeah,
I found
math in rotation frame.
I found the video I was looking for that I was talking about. I posted it in the live chat on the Discord.
What is it?
It's that grain mill.
Oh.
Just that shows what I was talking about. You can see from the thumbnail.
Okay, yeah, just gotta.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to show this or not.
Just a thicker millstone. Yeah, and that you'll get drag on depending on where on that cylinder you're measuring from. Anyway.
Yeah.
Like turning a car with a live axle.
Exactly.
Yeah, Starkouter in the Discord chat says, right on, this leaving reference frames is really triggering my OCD. Everything is in all reference frames all the time, just like you said. It's just different ways to describe things. Any event can be described using any origin/direction you want. I really don't get what's so confusing about this. Me and you both, brother. It seems pretty straightforward to me. Didn't some guy named Einstein say some stuff about this? Yeah, I think so.
I think so, yeah. He might have named his theory after it. I don't know. I could be making that up.
Yeah, I seem to remember something like special relativity or something.
Yeah. Something like that.
Shout out to Truth Nerds for £3. Brian's logic, a coordinate system equals finite box.
Is that guy still around?
Brian's logic?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He is a mainstay super scientist over at Nathan Oakley's place.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. My thoughts exactly.
He hadn't done many videos lately. Maybe he's getting the point.
Well, I think he got tired of getting slapped around so much.
Yeah.
Every time he opens his mouth about airplanes, somebody like me puts their foot in his mouth. He has absolutely no clue how any of that works.
who are you talking about? Brian Logical or
Yeah.
Adam Meekin?
Yeah, Brian's both of them.
Gross you out sticking your foot in them?
Both of them.
You gotta wash your feet after that.
You suggesting he takes his shoes off to do it?
Still, I mean, even the shoes. I mean, I might sterilize them in the furnace.
And I'm
Citizen
assuming
Knight.
he's holding him down by having one foot wedged firmly on the chest, while repeatedly stomping the other one up and down into his mouth.
Harry Warp wants to know how I fit my foot in his mouth when his is firmly planted there already. No, the real trick, Harry, the real trick is getting to his mouth. You got to get in beside his. Never mind. His head.
Slip inside. Yeah, it's a tight fit up there.
Yeah, it's pretty tight up there. Where
We
his
understand
head
what you're
normally,
saying.
yeah, where his head normally is. And Citizen 9 says Brian's logic is still sulking over not winning top left. Oh, wow.
I was definitely disappointed that Lindsay Harris didn't get a nomination for that. Because he should have been a shoo-in, shouldn't he?
Well, if anybody ever figures out what Lindsay's saying, he might.
There's always issue.
True. But of course he does, apart from making his videos, he doesn't, does he? Because he won't go and talk to anybody.
Of course not. He's not that stupid.
He won't appear on anybody's. Oh, I wouldn't dare appear on a chat on a little channel like you. Seems to be his go-to reply, doesn't it? When invited for a chat.
Yeah.
Maybe Terry should ask Planable whether he could do a collab to get get the two of them to get him talking, seeing as how they're both from the land down under.
Yeah.
Shaggy, I think you're right. I think QE doesn't understand what an inertial force is. I think you're right about that.
Well, could say it about anything he claimed to understand, I guess.
Thinking is amazingly rigid, and I don't know where that comes from. I don't know if it's because they are rigid thinkers and therefore flat Earth makes sense to them, or if they are so doubling down on flat Earth that they force themselves to be rigid thinkers. Because QE has basically infected them all with what exactly the scientific method is.
You could only do science on it if it grew on a tree.
Yeah, here we go. Let's see if we can help our boy QE out just a little bit. Inertial force. You paying attention, QE? Yeah, this is out of Britannica. First thing I came across. Inertial force, also called fictitious force. Any force invoked by an observer to maintain the validity of Isaac Newton's second law of motion in a reference frame that is rotating or otherwise accelerating at a constant rate. For specific inertial forces, see centrifugal force, Coriolis force. Jesus. Got it, QE? Inertial forces only occur in non-inertial reference frames. Any questions? Nope, didn't think so. That's how easy it is to debunk QE. Doesn't take any more effort than that.
Yeah, science kind of brings up a good point. I wonder how much of that, if I guess whether or not he's a Poe, he's actively openly misrepresenting science. And I wonder if it's because he actually knows what he's doing or if he's just an asshole, or both.
He's an absolute idiot, and he proved it with his Alice and Bob thought experiment.
I missed that thought experiment. What is it?
What, Alice and Bob? Come on.
Oh my God, dude.
That one's crazy.
Oh.
I don't have the graphic of it.
If Alice looks at Bob, it's downhill to Bob. Bob looks to Alice, it's downhill to Alice. That means that there's a valley in
between them.
Oh. Yeah,
Right.
I think I remember this now.
Yeah.
Okay.
That one.
In other words, as usual, he doesn't know where down is.
He doesn't know where his own ass is. Why should he know where down is? Yeah, that's pretty basic stuff, guys, really.
Yeah, what TruthNet posted.
What did he say?
No, QE. He knows we're talking about the sphere, but he draws them, Alice and Bob, on two hills.
Right, or two different planets.
Right.
The way he draws it. Total lack of understanding of anything, I think. Well, guys, we've been going for 2 hours and 43 minutes.
No, don't make me go back and listen to Johnny and Pete.
You don't have to. Nobody's forcing you at gunpoint, dear boy.
No, I have to.
At least Clay isn't in there. Clay's just spamming memes in the chat.
God, no, he's just as bad. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
So to answer the question,
wait.
misrepresenting or just dense, those two, as I always say, are not mutually exclusive. It can be both.
Wait, isn't Johnny supposed to be quitting drinking?
I don't think he's doing a good job of it.
And he probably told them that quitting drinking means you have to stop drinking.
I agree with you, Elam. Those two things are not mutually exclusive.
No, I would.
Well, I think I'm going to end the YouTube stream at this point. I don't have a whole lot else. We could listen to more QE, but I don't think I feel like it.
Go for that.
I think he got out all of the insults he's usually using right off the bat, so, we don't have to listen. It's just going to be more.
Redneck retard.
Yeah.
So does anyone know where the term numpty comes from? Like, I'm trying to figure out what that's, like, where that came from. Numpty, Humpty,
British.
Dumpty?
It's a British insult, I think.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's our fault.
All right. All right, that makes a little bit more sense.
Apparently, actually, it could even be Scottish. If you look in the Urban Dictionary, Scottish usage, someone who sometimes unwittingly by speech or action demonstrates a lack of knowledge or misconception of a particular subject or situation to the amusement of others.
He exchanges insults with Nathan Oakley. They fuel each other.
Actually, the next definition really cuts to the point. Numpty, a fucking idiot.
I'm reading here. Is numpty an offensive word? It comes from Scotland.
Yeah.
And is shortening of empty-headed. Through the Scottish accent, it formed umpty-ed, which eventually transformed into numpty.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
The example from Google is confused numpties who have no idea of what they are talking about.
Yeah.
I think QE qualifies.
All right, Blue, I'm going to head off. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, Rob. Thanks for showing up, man. Enjoyed having you. Yeah, you're welcome anytime. You know that. So
appreciate it.
All right, man. And I'm going to say goodnight to the YouTube crowd. And the rest of you guys are welcome to stay in here as long as you want to. So with that, we'll see you again maybe Thursday night. You guys